Hello everyone, my name is Mike and this is Matrix to Paradise. I created this channel to document my journey from the Matrix, which was a truck driving job for me over the road in the United States of America, to leaving and retiring overseas in Siem Reap, Cambodia, which is my paradise right now. So there was a bunch of things that I was going to talk about in this video, and I think I'm just going to narrow it down to one. I've got a video that I'm going to make about my cost of living in Siem Reap and break it down for you, and tell everybody exactly what it costs me to live here and how I live, and I will break that down in the next video and show everybody what it costs me when I go to the supermarket and when I go to local vendors around my house here and in town where you can get stuff cheaper. I will do that video next. This video, I'm going to talk about how I actually got to Siem Reap, and I'll give you some backstory. I know a lot of you were in the same position as I was at one point, and you're going to find a way to make it happen for yourselves. And I just wanted to kind of explain how I got it to happen for me, excuse me, and the people who helped me along the way to get to where I'm at today. Anyway, I'll start off with 2018. I had just gotten divorced, and my mother was sick, and I was working at the post office. So when we got divorced, we sold our house. We had a very nice house in Las Vegas, Nevada. I was working for the post office there, and we sold our house, and I had some money left over, and I had gone to live in in an apartment, and I was still working for the post office when I found out my mother was going to die soon. So I made the decision to go back to Michigan where she was living and take care of her, because I was the only sibling that could do it. So because I wasn't married and I didn't have any responsibilities at the time. And I really hated my job at the post office, which is a totally different story. But so I went back there and took care of my mom for the last 6 months of her life. And when I got done, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I couldn't go back to the post office. I didn't really want to, but I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I had this crazy idea that I wanted to go travel. And I had a little bit of money left over from the sale of the house and all that. So I was thinking, at the time, I was trying to figure out how to support myself overseas, and teaching English was one of those. So I started watching a guy on YouTube. I just looked up teaching overseas, and this guy popped up from Cambodia. His name was No Joke Howard. His channel was on YouTube. So I started watching No Joke Howard. Now, if any of you have ever watched No Joke Howard, he was a quirky guy, but he had a lot of information, a lot. So I was watching him, and he's the one that gave me the idea of teaching English in Cambodia, because I've already said this before, but he told us that you don't have to have a teaching degree or a college degree, period, to teach English in Cambodia. And I thought that was great. So I came over here, and I spent 4.5 months here, and I taught English for about the last 2.5 months out in the wilderness, about 70 miles west of here. I don't know how many kilometers that. I think it's about 120 kilometers west of here, out in the sticks. And I taught English out there for about 1.5, 2 months, something like that. And so that didn't work out, because the guy, one of the co-owners of the school, was a scam artist, and he scammed the school out of a bunch of money, and we all were left out without a job because the remaining owner couldn't pay us what the other partner guaranteed us, which was $1,000 a month, which would have been fine here. So I ended up having to go back to the United States. And I was totally bummed out about it because I was figuring that I was going to be able to make it here teaching English, but that didn't work out, which was okay. It taught me a lot of lessons, and usually I'm pretty good with intuition, but he scammed us all. It was crazy. He was so convincing that it scammed me too, and I was shocked. But anyway, so I came back to the United States, and I was trying to figure out a job that I would get. That I was thinking, what would I, what am I qualified for? And there's not a whole lot of stuff I was qualified for because I joined the Marines early on, and I was in the Marine Corps as a military policeman. And I thought I wanted to be. I did that because I thought I wanted to be a police officer. But the whole thing happened with the Rodney King thing. And if you don't know that, go back and look on Google about that. And a lot of stuff that I heard from officers who were at the academy that were there for doing secondary training and stuff. And they taught me a lot about police work. And I just decided at the end, I was testing out for Phoenix Police Department in Phoenix, Arizona. And I just had an epiphany. It said, don't do it. It's not worth it. And so I didn't. So I went on to become like a bartender, security guard, a waiter. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff until I got married and moved to Las Vegas. And then I became a casino dealer for a while, which was a horrible job too, for different reasons, but it was a horrible job. I did good at it, but it was a bad job. And then I got a job with the post office. Well, I told you the story of that. I worked for the post office for, I think it was 15 years or 14 years, something like that. And then I got out of the post office and went back and took care of my mom. And then she died, and I came over to Cambodia and did all that. Well, anyway, so when I got back from Cambodia, I was doing just stupid jobs like being a security guard, that kind of stuff. And I didn't have a house anymore, so I was living, first I went back to Michigan to stay with my brother in my mom's old house, but there was no jobs up there. So I moved out with my brother, who was in the process of a divorce himself, to Maryland, and I was working at an auto auction place as a security guard, and I saved up enough money, and I decided he was going to sell the house because he was getting divorced, so he was going to move. And so I decided to go back west. I called up my aunt and my mother's sister, and I went out there and stayed with her for a few months, for about 6 months, 8 months, something like that. And I was still trying to figure out what I was going to do for a job. And one day she had her tablet open. She was on an iPad or a tablet, I believe. And she was scrolling through stuff, and she came up with this ad that came up on there about driving trucks, and it pays you $1,000 a week. And I was like, $1,000 a week? I could do that. I could drive a truck. I can learn how. So eventually, to make a long story short, I went to CDL school, got a job with Warner Enterprises, worked for them for a year and a half. Well, actually more like 2 years. And then I went to work for a company called Creek Carrier. And that was probably the best job I've ever had in my life. It was a wonderful job. They treated me well. They respected me. They paid me good. And I was able to save up the money that I needed to come over here. Now, there were some people that helped me along the way. And I've mentioned Dan from Vagabond Awake and vagabondbuddha.com. He was an incredible help throughout this whole time. I watched his videos like religiously, and he gave me a lot of tips. He gives you a lot of tips on everything. Healthcare, how to get an apartment in different countries. He goes to totally different countries and does all these cost of living cheap, retire cheap books about going to different countries and retiring there cheap. And he was an incredible source. I just did an interview with him a couple weeks ago and it was awesome. I can't give enough props to him. Another one that I was watching before I came over here was Dave Does Cambodia. Dave from Dave Does Cambodia. He also has another channel called Horror Reads. You should check that out too if you're into horror stories and books and all that, book reviews and all that. He's great. And Dave, Dave is the greatest guy. He's a cool guy to hang out with. He has so much knowledge on how to live really cheap here. So Dave is the source for that. He is living proof that you can live here on limited funds and make it. Dave's a great guy too, by the way. So if you ever come over here and you meet him, you'll be very happy to meet him. Kelly from Autumn in Asia, another great source. I met him too. He's a great guy. He has an excellent channel. All kinds of information there too. A different perspective than Dave, but an incredible channel too. Kelly from Autumn in Asia. Autumn in Asia, you should check that channel out too if you're coming to Siem Reap or Cambodia, period. Another channel here that was really helpful to me was For Real, F-O-R, and then another word, R-I-E-L. It's a play on the Cambodian currency, which is the real. And they do a channel that's very in-depth. Way in-depth. Way more in-depth than me, Dave, or Kelly. And they do different things like they go to different apartments and show you the different apartments that you can rent here. They go to different supermarkets and show you what it costs in each one of those. It's just incredible. They do a really good job and they do really good editing, and their channel is top of the line. I haven't met them guys yet, but I would really love to and pick their brains too. But before I came over here, so those channels right there were the big helps to me, especially coming to Siem Reap, Cambodia. Now, if you're going to a different country, I would suggest watching Dan from Vagabond Away because he's been to all these countries. Also, check out the local YouTubers from those countries. If you're going to go to Laos, Lao is the proper name. If you're going to go to Laos, check out Now in Lao. He has an excellent channel there. If you're going to the Philippines, there's a ton of different Filipino Philippines channels from expats over there, tons of them. Old Dog, New Tricks. Just a great, there's a bunch of them over there that are really good. There's a bunch of them from Thailand, from all kinds of different places in Southeast Asia. There's a bunch of them from Vietnam. You should check out if you're going to Vietnam. I would suggest checking out the YouTubers there because they're on the ground. Those guys are the foot soldiers there. So I would check out those. In my personal life, before I came over here, I have some family that I really have to give a huge shout out to. And one of them is my aunt. And my aunt, my mother's sister, she let me come stay with her at her house. And she gave me room and board and food for like 8 months. So I love her to death, and I have nothing but great things to say about her, and I would do anything to help her. If she needed me right now, I'd fly back to the United States and go back to her right now to help her out. She's just the salt of the earth. She's just awesome. She has a daughter, and her husband, Dave, is a guy named Dave. Those two helped me out tremendously. When I was going to CDL school, my cousin and Dave let me stay at their house. They have a little guest thing there in part of their house, and they let me stay there to go to CDL school. And I couldn't stay at my aunt's house because she still lived in Tucson, or close to Tucson. The CDL school was up in Phoenix. So I had to go up to Phoenix, and they let me stay at their house. And they didn't have to, but they did. And I can't thank them enough. Thank you, Cuz and Dave. I thank you so much for all you've done for me. I owe you the world. Before I left to come to Cambodia, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my car. I had a Ford Explorer, an old Ford Explorer, 2005, and it was a good running. The engine in it was great. I put premium synthetic oil in it the whole time I owned it, so it never had bad oil, and it was always good. And even at the end, when I was driving at the end, there was time you couldn't even hear it running when you were sitting in idle. You couldn't even hear it. It was so smooth. That engine was great. That thing, I got rid of it, and I think it had 165,000 miles on it in 20 years, almost 20 years, and it still ran like a top. So that thing is probably going to last. Whoever bought it, it's probably going to last for another 20 years because that engine, as long as they take care of the engine, I never had a problem with the engine ever. Nothing ever went wrong with that engine. The interior needed, was old at the time, and it was, being baked in the Arizona sun didn't help it at all, or the Nevada sun too. So before I left, I was trying to figure out what to do with it, and I didn't know if I was going to sell it. I didn't know who to sell it to, and all that. And I talked to my cousin, and she told me, "Hey, why don't you just leave it there at my aunt's house, and we'll pick it up and we'll sell it for you." Because my cousin's husband, Dave, he works for a car dealership, and he could figure out, how to get it sold and all that. And I wasn't expecting much from it. It's a 20-year-old vehicle. I was probably expecting $500 or something, that they would probably get out of it. It was a good running vehicle. The interior needed work, the headliner, needed to come down, and it was bad. It was old in the interior and stuff, and the seat was all ripped up, and on the driver's side it was all messed up. But yeah, I was figuring like $500 they could probably get for it. They ended up, I guess Dave worked on it and did some work to it or whatever. They ended up selling it for $3,000 and sent that money to me. And I just can't tell you how much that means to me that they would do that for me when they didn't have to. And I just want to thank you guys, because I know you're watching. I want to thank you guys so much. I can't explain how much I love you guys, and I appreciate, and if you guys ever needed anything, you could talk to me and I would give it to you. Anything. So, thank you, Cousin and Dave. Thank you, Aunt. And, for you people that helped me along. It's priceless. You can't replace good family. When you have good family, you're lucky. If you don't have good family, you're unlucky, but you can find good friends, or I guess maybe, and those are hard to find, but good family, you can't beat them. And I appreciate you guys more than you know. So I just wanted to give shout outs to the people who helped me come over here and who've done so much for me in my time. And knowing that I was determined to come over here, they encouraged me. They helped me along. They did the best for me, and I want to thank all of you guys for the YouTube channels. I can't thank you guys enough either for the knowledge you gave and the encouragement you give in your channels. And I want this channel was to document my journey, but also to help anybody else who thinks it's going to be too hard to do it. It's not. It's not too hard to do it if you just keep your mind to it. You just put your mind to it and don't stop. I've done a lot of research on successful people, and every one of them says, super successful people, like I've read books about people that are successful. And the one thing they always say is, Don't ever quit. Just keep pounding away at your dream. Keep going. Don't stop. Persistence, perseverance. You know, one step forward, two steps back will eventually turn into one step back and two steps forward. So if you just keep pushing it, it's gonna happen. It's gonna come true for you. You just have to just keep pushing it. And I can't say that enough. And there are a million people, well, maybe not a million people, but there's a ton of people who have done it. And some have had an easy time of it. I mean, some people, were smart and got good jobs and saved up a ton of money and retired early. I've read stories about people who got into coding early on, and they saved up a ton of money, and then they just said, you know what, I'm going to retire overseas cheap, and they did, and they're living, they're doing it, moving overseas at 35 years old, or 30 years old, or 40 years old. Now, I couldn't have done that because I didn't have a job like that. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do when I was younger, so I ended up, doing stupid stuff like joining the post office and all that. But there are people who are like me, who have limited means and had to work there. I had to work in a truck. I lived in a truck for almost 5 years. Lived in the truck, almost 5 years. Actually, more like 4 years. I lived in the truck for like 4 years. Lived in it. In the back, in the sleeper, in a truck for 4 years to save up the money to be able to come here, to gap the years between the time I was going to come over here and when I was going to get Social Security. So, if I can do it, you guys can do it. Even if it may take you a little longer and you save a little bit less every month, just watch it grow. Watch the money grow. Watch the little victories grow, and embrace the journey, because when you embrace the journey and you see the improvements on your goals, on your path to your goal, you're inspired. And this channel, I really want this channel to be an inspiration to others, because I'm nobody special. I'm your average guy who had a dream and I made it happen. And there were people that helped me along, and that's why I'm giving the shout outs. But you have to have the dream and you have to push through to make it happen. You have a dream, you make a plan, you execute the plan. And then as long as you keep pushing it, you'll get to that dream. And like I say, I couldn't be happier. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life here in Siem Reap, Cambodia. I couldn't be happier. I might be a little happier when I get my Social Security, I'm able to travel to different countries. But I can't see how it's going to be any better than living here in Siem Reap. It's going to be fun because it'll be new and all that, and I won't stay for a whole long time. But I'll probably end up back here in Siem Reap in the end. And I just wanted to let everybody know it can happen. And there will be people, as long as you put your goal out there and you let everybody know what you're doing and you persevere, people are going to be impressed by that. People are going to help you along. And I've had great family that's helped me along. Shout out to my cousin, her husband Dave, and my aunt. I appreciate you all. And for the YouTubers that helped me along, thank you guys. Vagabond Awake, Dan from Vagabond Awake, vagabondbuddha.com. Dave does Cambodia, Ottoman Asia, Kelly from Ottoman Asia, Claire and Jeremy from For Real. Those people really helped me along. So that's what this video is about. I didn't mean to make it it's almost 25 minutes now. Sorry for the length. But, you got to give thanks where thanks is due. And I just wanted to give a little background story on how I got here and let you guys all know that you can do it too. Anyway, take care, guys. Know that you have the possibility of getting to your dream as well. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.